Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Clang goes the batleth. I'm your captain, Myrriah Gossett. With me on the view screen we have
Clyde Haynes. Stop calling me Baby Bear.
And Bendai syndrome stricken Paul Sitachet.
Aw, Paul.
My emotions. They're all emotions.
B. Vulcan is a motherfucker. Tonight we are talking about the 5th episode of season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks. We do acknowledge that our SAG actors are still on strike while our writers are currently voting to ratify their agreement with the AMPTP. But just want to acknowledge that we know that strike is still going on and that we continue and support the actors as they also fight for what they need in these contracts. I just didn't have time to update our sweet little graphic. So tonight we are going to honor those writers and directors who worked so hard on this episode, as well as all these incredible voice actors in Empathological Fallacies, which was directed by Megan Lloyd, written by Jamie Loftus. Just a couple of reminders before we dig into that, though. Paul, how can people support this little podcast of ours?
Hey, this little podcast can be supported by subscribing on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. All links at StarTrekPod.co. And if you love our content, and we hope you do, consider joining our Patreon for just $2 per episode at patreon.com/StarTrekPod. And shameless plug for me, my movie is having a theatrical release not this week, next Friday. So yay! Look at that. What's
the movie called, Paul?
The movie is called. Wow. Yeah. Let me. The movie is called American-ish. It's a rom-com. For anyone who wants to check it out, like if they're in LA or in the Arizona area, you go to do American-ish film. No, American-ish.
You're gonna nail it, Paul.
I'm screwing it up. American-ish film. .com, and and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can check out and consider going next week, because if we do well, then they'll extend it, and if not, we'll fall into I'll be basically doing like spoken word poetry
in a back dark room.
Yeah.
Is it going to be streaming anywhere sometime soon?
It'll be streaming in November, so if
amazing.
I'll do a shameless plug then, and I apologize for it. It's very terrestrial information. It's not very Trek. I apologize for that, everyone.
Oh, I mean, we're excited to support you, Paul.
Thank you.
And I am excited to check it out when I can, and hopefully it's better near me.
And if you happen to be in, get this, Cerritos, California, it will be playing in.
Hey, there's the tie-in, Clyde with the rescue.
There you go. That's the tie-in. Boom, boom.
I mean, I don't know that. I mean, Paul, I was like, man, I want to go. I don't know that I'm going to Encino to see it. Think about it.
Well, hey, it's all good. I
kind of want to see it though.
Yeah,
maybe I will.
Yeah,
field trip. Clyde, now that you've mentioned the Cerritos, I think there's other ways people can interact with us this evening. If they are, they have the option, they can go see American-ish and see Paul's name up in credits.
And if you go to the Cerritos, you might be able to meet me and go like, "Oh, you're a lot shorter and really, really repulsive. Not just your energy. You're giving off Gorn energy, Paul."
Very, very to end this episode energy. But Clyde, how can people interact with us this evening if they're watching live on YouTube?
If you're watching live on YouTube, then I'm just gonna say American Sign Language is the best way to know. Seriously, type capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod in your chat, and we'll take a look at your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your criticisms of Paul, whatever you got. Just capital P, capital O, capital D.
Capital pod. I only get stronger. My Bendai only gets stronger.
And if you happen to have a overarching thought about this episode, you want to share some emotions, some empathetic feelings, then type capital HF in the chat and you'll know what that means in a second.
Indeed. Okay, I think it is time for us to dig into some of those HFs. It's time for some hot freaks. Hot freaks! Gotta have the deep V for a Betazoid episode. Let's go ahead and start with some messages from the menagerie. I thought I would break this up because we got quite a few this time. Paul, do you want to read the first one?
Sure. It's from Kyung. I'm not sure why, but I started laughing hysterically when the Romulan said, "Aw," as the Cerritos turned away from the neutral zone. This season is staying strong.
Indeed. Clyde, do you want to read the next one?
Not ready.
Not ready? I'll read it then. Karen says, just a great ep. Yes, agree. That was hysterical. And also the whole joke that they are always lurking in the neutral zone for ships. I love the blinking buoys. So many spots got me. Who knew Boyms and Shax would be such a great duo? Boyms jumping on Shax and Shax holding him off cracked me up. Same with Dahana. Honey, maybe we should try some of those focus exercises. Another straight up laugh was Meegly Moo. Enjoy hell, replicator. Tons more, but maybe the best line was, I suppose by the transitive property, I too must be Vulcan as a motherfucker. What a solid season this is. Thank you, Karen.
Yes.
Oh, and from Carmen.
I got this one. I'm ready now. I'm in there.
Do it to it.
This one is so full of laughs. The reference to Angel 1, the silly little lights in the neutral zone, lower decks does not disappoint. I agree with you there, Carmen.
And Home Chicky says, I've decided I want to hang out with hot BIA agents. They're tough. They like to party and they can read my mind. Home Chicky also added prior to, I just checked the messages from the Menagerie really quick, said, also, is it Peanut Hamper or Badgie or maybe even Evil Rutherford in our mystery ship? Lots of fun theories to talk about later. Time to dig into our hot freaks of this episode. Paul, what did you think?
Well, I thought it was like a really lazy attempt to like really make me. Nah, I'm just kidding. It was awesome. It was also like Carmen, like Angel 1. The moment Angel 1 came up, I go like, oh, I'm in good hands. I'm good. It's gonna be chock full of references and things like that. So yeah, I thought it was great. I feel like if I had to nitpick, I go like, maybe the Boimler storyline might have been a little throwaway, but but that's me nitpicking. I had a great time from from beginning to end, and I really like these kind of like personal log type episodes in all of Star Trek. Like Pale Moonlight is like one of my favorite episodes, and it's just like this narration. So I always like that. Like the one where Data is like the wedding where Keiko gets married. That's another log thing. So anyway,
good times. Clyde?
I gotta admit that I love an episode that has a Betazoid in it. It's kind of cool. The whole empathy is it's like a honesty, even if you don't want to be honest kind of situation, and kind of brings in an interesting dynamic. And this was like having 3 Loxana Troys who all are secret agents and know Kung Fu. I mean, if that was your log line or your pitch, I would have been like, hell yeah, like sign me up.
That episode.
You got multicultural Loxana Troys who are secret agents and know Kung Fu. Yeah. And who like to party, like hardcore party. Hijinks will ensue. But I did enjoy it. I thought they're, again, really doing a good job of bringing T'Lyn into the fold as a true member of the lower decks. And the dynamic between her and Mariner, I thought was fantastic. So yeah, no, I thought this was a good episode. I won't say that I thought it was the greatest episode of the season or the series yet, but I agree with Carmen again. I didn't think it disappointed at all. I was there for it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. This episode for me, I feel like this season's really shining a light on how strong of joke writers are on this show, because there's just like so many really solid one-liners, as well as a ton of visual gags. And like every time I watch this episode, I feel like I saw or heard like another thing that made me like actually laugh out loud. Also, you gave me Betazoids that are Janelle James, Rachel Dratch, and Wendy Malick. Like, sign me up. Like, I would like, the minute I heard Janelle James, I went, oh, this is going to be a fun episode. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I agree with you guys. Let's go ahead and dig into a little bit of this main discussion. As we've said, this is Talin's episode. We get to kind of learn a little bit more about her character, although we didn't really get too much more backstory to her beyond her potentially having early onset Bendai syndrome, which is kind of an interesting thing for them to tee up of like, is this potentially her brain is like so powerful that she can like fall into this syndrome earlier than most other Vulcans, or is this like a potential tragedy at the door? So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if it'll get that deep or if it was just a way for them to have Talin have emotions this episode.
But she didn't, right? Like
Yeah.
she was just like
internally seething.
That's right. That's right. No, it's interesting because like it's all just unresolved crap, right? It's all about like keeping it in, and how that causes problems.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I thought it was like really great just watching her trying to send that email.
Mhm.
Just again, the subspace communique, like, and I was like, oh, this is a really good way to show like emotion in a Vulcan that's not,
Yeah.
that's
The
not
like
hot
trying to not hit the button again, the like
Exactly.
little shuffle. It was really fun little body language animation
Yeah,
there.
I thought that was a good use of like Vulcan, like your Vulcan mythos
Mhm.
and like character, So anyway,
I was super fascinated by that because I think I was just literally thinking, man, if I on the rewatch, that would have been the moment where I was like, oh, something's wrong here, because it just felt so out of character for a Vulcan to struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what, like for all of it, as they're dogging on, Talin's captain. Talin's captain is actually right. Like, it isn't that like he's being punished. He's punishing her for not being, Vulcan enough. He's sending her away because she would thrive in this environment.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective, because I think I was just at the like, oh, he just saw someone who didn't follow orders, and that is the punishment. But that's interesting to think of it as this is where she will actually thrive.
Yeah, like it's at least that's the way I always saw it, because like from a leadership perspective, like this environment is going to be too stifling for her.
Mm-hmm.
I like where you're going, Paul. Like that is that's a truly optimistic, glass half full kind of notion.
I like to think of it as captain thinking. Thank you.
It is. It's great.
Very high leadership style, Paul. I can see why you are a good producer of things like American-ish.
Yeah. I'm just not so sure. I think I would give the Vulcans that much credit.
Whoa, they're an advanced species.
They are, but anytime they've sent someone to be with the humans, it's usually punishment, and not. It's like, go be with them so that you can see how terrible they are, and then understand you need to come back to us. It's almost never like, hey, we think this is going to be a great place for you and you're going to thrive. It's more like, go be with the filthy humans.
Oh, do you think then potentially this little ship is Talin's old captain, who is actually like a Vulcan admiral?
Wow, that's some
a lot of jumps
theorying out there. I can't imagine that being the case. It seems like the ship is very powerful for something that's so for something so small. And I actually don't think the captain is a very big character. Like, do we remember his name?
Satal. So
yeah. I mean, I didn't until Mariner was like, what's your captain's name?
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a ride or die homie right there.
Yeah. I'm enjoying Mariner as kind of playing a little bit of second banana the last two episodes, but in like a good way, right? Like she's being such a good supportive character to the growth of.
She's like Pike.
Tendi. Yeah, very Pike in this season. Like Tendi and Talin having opportunity to really get full episodes, but Mariner still being a part of their core stories and being that supportive friend. I've really enjoyed. Also, Tawny Newsome has gotten some of the best lines this season. I think it's been really fun. I thought it was very funny that has Xanthi fever ever come up before?
Yeah, it was in Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
Like,
I like that it's just like Betazoid menopause.
mhm.
When Captain Freeman was like, we're all women of a certain age. I also love it's Romulan 8 o'clock somewhere. I
That-
immediately need that on a t-shirt.
yeah, no,
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
nice call.
I also was shocked to see that Billups is ripped. Like they just had Billups with no shirt on in sickbay.
Well, he's not. He's like pretty much asexual.
Yeah,
So he has the engine room, and I guess the weight.
working out.
Weights.
That's right. Like and deadlifts or something. Like
So, Paul, what you're saying is the reason why I'm not like yoked out is because I'm too busy. If
Yeah.
I had nothing in my life, then I'd be like chiseled. Gotcha.
I'm just saying. Like and you are a prince among men. He's a prince among princes.
True. Well, it's funny because you mentioned he was ripped, but then the medical device got a little hot, and he was like, "Oh."
Yeah, I know. It's like such a funny like dichotomy that is Billups. Tahana had some of the most unhinged
Oh yeah, totally.
pieces of voice acting in this episode. Right. I was like, I need the raw footage of her voiceover directing sessions because they were probably the most fun. When we reveal that her species used to eat betazoids, and then later getting the mama's eating good tonight. I'm gonna shred those little little briskets. Like there was just like so many that just like truly made me giggle. And then when Shax was like, no, the worm milk we gave her will calm her down for a little bit. And then you're like, oh right, still cat behavior. Yeah, I love that Lower Decks gets to give us some like little pieces of like canon and lore building, but in these like seemingly throwaway jokes at times.
Sure.
It feels like a superpower of this show. What did we think of the chaotic party in the bar? There was a lot of stuff happening in that.
There was a lot of stuff. I would have to go back and rewind it a couple times just to catch some of it.
Yeah.
Like it was insane.
There was like Ransom being upset that the Betazoid wouldn't sleep with him after shoving a drink up his butt crack.
Impressive though,
Yeah. Those gains, he's really sad. She didn't want to dig in on these gains. If you were partying in that bar, what would have been your emotional let loose of choice? Would you be like Miglimo getting real violent with the replicator, or would you be building human pyramids, or would you be Tendi just trying to be everybody's friend?
Like you're basically asking, like, what are you like drunk?
Yeah.
And not to be this way about it, but I'm probably like Talin. Like I've never been drunk. I've drank enough to be sleepy. I don't really like drinking because I don't like the taste, but like sleepy and loopy in the sense of like, my ocular vision, my vision has like shifted by 12% to the.
You'd be like somewhere between Talin and like Rutherford, who's just running in circles.
I mean, everything in me says, Clyde, do not answer this question on a live podcast.
Right.
You just pick your Trek character. You don't have to reveal too much about yourself.
I mean, I'm definitely probably more a Tendi. Like I'm more me, just like on 12.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm friendly. I'm talking to everybody. I'm loud, and not unlikely to be on a table somewhere. So it's just.
Yeah, no, it's a naked time all over again.
I didn't say naked. I just said on the table.
He said so much nakedness.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there's any clothing removal, but I am loud, and that's why it rarely ever happens. Keep that bottled up.
I feel like I would be somewhere between like Mariner and Captain Freeman, who's just like, I just want these Betazoids to think I'm cool. Why are you guys embarrassing me? Yeah, I also really I actually liked the B plot. I thought it was an interesting like foil to kind of the chaos of the A plot, where it's like everyone's trying to remain like really calm and find ways to calm the mind. I laughed so hard when Boymes was like, oh, great, another rebirth. Every card is a rebirth, because it feels like every bad tarot reading anyone's ever had for you.
No. That I love it. Like, oh, it's death, but it's not actually dying. It's like a rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Which technically Shax and Boymes have died and come back.
Yeah, no. So
the cards are accurate.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's quite a number of activities going on in the security kind of stressing activities lounge, if you will. They had charades, they had slam poetry, there was puzzles, there's tarot cards. What's your pick of something to de-stress with out of that bunch?
I mean, my favorite. Okay, so if you're asking in real life, oh man, Myrriah, it's like so much embarrassment here tonight. I'm a puzzler. Like,
you got a puzzle.
I like to puzzle. Like I think I even had a sticker once that said "Every day I'm puzzling." So
do you remember that scene? Did you watch New Girl? I think about Winston puzzling.
Yes. So I saw the puzzle and I was like, yo, but my favorite was the Worf poetry.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
I do have the Worf poem if either of you want to do a dramatic reading of the Worf poem. I've bolded it in our note stock.
Nice.
Nice. Available for anyone who would like to read it. Paul, what would be your activity of choice?
I'm a Pictionary charades type person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about, like, you know, it's actually one of the reasons why my wife married me. In the sense that I'm all about communication in that way, but like, you know, how do you reduce communication to like the simplest, most accessible thing without using, you know, your voice or blah blah blah, you know, words. And so, you know, so like my personal favorite is like when he goes, "It's Constable Odo from Deep Space Nine." I go like, "Oh, that'd be me." Is this too easy? It's Odo.
You were Boymes in this case. Yeah, I think I get a little too competitive, so I don't know if any of the games would really be my vibe, or it'd have to be like, I really like. There's like I like domino games. I find those fairly relaxing for some reason, or like any kind of tile matchy games. Oh, Keen says it's a shame we didn't see anything about Tuvok, I think, during the security activities.
Oh yeah,
that would have been fun. I wanted to ask y'all, so like, because I'm not as much of a TNG like aficionado, which also premiered, I think, like, however, like this is the anniversary of the premiere, 1987.
Okay.
I think yesterday, within the last 24 hours. Wild. But I was really impressed with the idea of like a Betazoid Secret Service, essentially, that are doing this like crazy intelligence work, which makes sense if they're people who can like read people's emotions and have telepathy. Like, this feels like something that would be used in that. And I know we've seen Troy sometimes used in these ways, but is that like something that's a bit of a trope for the Betazoids, like using these skill sets in that particular way?
No,
something we've seen before.
No, it's usually when we see the Betazoids, they're not supposed to be using this. It's almost like, here's this thing that's natural to them, and if they ever leave the planet, they can't use their powers, right? They're always restrained,
unless you're Luoxana Troy, who just like just does it. Like,
yes, but she does it in like the drunken aunt that's hitting on everybody. She's not doing it in a, hey, put me on the bridge and let me figure out what the other person is doing kind of way.
Isn't there an episode though where she is put in like Romulan
Troy is
Troy's in like Romulan face and gets sent down.
It was very offensive. I don't know it. So Troy, like, there's basically some Romulans are trying to sneak off, like, you know, some like resistance leader, and they need an operative, and they draft Troy
Mhm.
because, like, you know, if things don't work out, they need someone who is a telepath and a what you call it,
An empath.
a Starfleet officer. So
Mhm.
she would have codes and stuff like that. So, you know,
Interesting.
Yes, Face of the Enemy was the episode that you're referring to.
Yeah. It seems like it would be something that could have been used more, because I like spy espionage materials. It is something I probably would have, I will say in the first watch, I was kind of a little confused as to what I was like, oh, are these evil betazoids, you
Mhm.
know? And then, by the end, you kind of figure out what's going on. And on second watch, it made more sense, but I kind of wish we got a little bit more of like some spy craft,
Sure.
just because that's something I really enjoy.
But I think you're right. Like a Betazoid Secret Service, like clandestine organization makes a ton of sense.
Now, if we can get these like secret operative betazoids to team up with the Romulan murder nuns, then I think we would have just a badass TV show.
and not for nothing, Wendy Malchek would make a great Betazoid Secret Service agent.
Yeah. So
that was so believable. So I was like, yep, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Let's see. I liked that we got another Enterprise reference with the Malcolm Reed puzzle. I thought that was cute. I also liked seeing, security kind of show what they're more useful for than just like when there is a red alert. Although I thought it was funny when it's like, as soon as there is a red alert, it was like so serious and like meticulous in how they operated. So I thought that was a fun little bit throughout. And then Captain Freeman being really smart and knowing that if she got the Betazoids to argue with each other on the bridge, that she could get them distracted. So I enjoyed the Freeman win in this episode because I feel like last time we saw her messing up a computer, so it was nice to see her get a win this episode.
Good point. Very good point.
Let me see. Okay. What are we thinking with this mystery ship? This has been quite a slow rollout of the mystery ship. There's been some theories about it being Peanut Hamper or Badgie. James from our Patreon has put out the call that it could potentially be Boimler's transporter clone. And so I have yet another wild Myrriah theory to throw out for us to discuss, which is, what if it is a team up of all of the transporter clones that have happened across Trek, and they're tired of it. They're tired of being tossed aside. They're ready to take over.
What do you mean? Like, like Boimler's clone is like literally like we might be following the clone. Boimler, Boimler might literally be the real Boimler, might literally be on the Titan.
It could happen.
So that, yeah, like,
look, my guess is it's Badgie. I mean, the reason why I would say that is, one, when we had Badgie, he was indiscriminately trying to murder everyone.
Right.
So it's in character. But also, I felt like at the very beginning when we saw the preview of the season, Badgie was front and center. And here we are. Episode 5 is now in the books, and no Badgie. So my money's on Badgie somehow.
Interesting. There's some. Go ahead, Paul.
Badgie. Yeah, it'd be great as Badgie. I'm a big fan of Badgie. Like, it's like he's like the Joker. He's not he's not insane. He's just super sane.
Super sane. Super sane. There's some interesting conversation in the chat. Chiefy points out that the ship is potentially koala shaped.
I love it.
And Hope Chicky says, and the koala was added to the Strange New Worlds animated intro during the crossover episode.
Fair.
Let's see. We've got a comment here. I think it's William Boimler because of one life form is scanned the first time we see the mysterious threat ship.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay. All of these potentials. Okay, I think it's time that we do a dramatic reading of the Wharf poem. Any takers?
I'll do it.
Amazing.
Wait. Okay, you go, Clyde. Let me just warm up though. Ready? Right.
Wharf, torn between worlds. A warrior? No, a farm boy. The son of Moog. Clang goes the batleth against the armor of your heart.
All right.
The things I put out on the internet forever.
That's right. There you go.
Classic. Instant classic. I'm pulling that out and making it a video on its own.
I walked right into that.
It was beautiful. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that.
I don't even know why. See, clearly I'm sleep deprived.
Clearly.
I was like, I think we're all a little loopy. I know Paul, I did my COVID and flu booster at the same time on Tuesday, and Paul did his today. So like everyone is feeling it, which by the way, guys, updated boosters, stop the spread. Go get your booster shots. Believe in some science because we love Star Trek and we believe in science. Anything else y'all want to say about this episode? I mean, I kind of made go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the thing that I always have a problem with Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Romulans decloak and, they're on the other side of the neutral zone. Hilarious. But why is it that the Romulans are always in the neutral zone?
They're just chilling. I loved when they're like, let's just go, what was it? Like, let's just go be creepy in Quadrant 87.
But like the neutral zone is supposed to be this zone that is neutral. It's not the Romulan Empire. It's the buffer between so every time
they're just hanging out in the buffer to see if anyone crosses the threshold.
But like, why? What's the big deal if the Cerritos goes into the buffer? It's the neutral zone.
Here's the thing: you can get away with it when you have an invisible ship, right? Like, who knows if you're in the neutral zone, right? You got an invisible ship.
If you have an invisible ship, you could go to Starfleet Command.
You could.
So
unless there's a tachyon field,
waiting, hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's in all the Star Trek. There's a neutral zone, and the only person who respects the borders are the Federation. Everyone else is bust off through.
But I feel like, even the Betazoids were willing to just be like, I don't care, we're going through there.
Yeah, but they were hopped up on Bendai, so
they were a little too drunk with a lot of adrenaline running after taking out all of the bridge crew.
yeah, with their taser wands.
The taser wands. I will say, the costume, I'm really excited for the cosplay that's going to come out of this episode with those Betazoid outfits, because they were great. They were great outfits.
Yes, they were.
I cannot wait to see what our friend Giraffe makes. I know she's already been looking at the Janelle James outfit and trying to make that. So I'm really excited about it. Anyway, I'm excited to maybe learn a little bit more about T'Lyn. I liked seeing her bond with our crew. I like that we got a solo episode, and I feel like I could really find some moments to, identify with her as someone who's like, oh, I thought I was supposed to fit in one space, but this is really how I can fit in here, which I think is ultimately the nice little bow put on the episode. With the same thing with Boimler, right? So it's he thinks he has to perform a specific way, but he realizes he needs to actually find some downtime.
Yeah, no, I think I'm ready for a big bad episode.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
face off.
Something happens, right now. So we're 5. There's 5 more left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of going, okay, give me something more than just canapes.
Yeah, I'm ready to see this ship have a showdown with the Federation, which I'm sure is happening sooner than later.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're in training for something. We're getting everybody's getting ready. Everybody's getting sharper. T'Lyn's getting sharper. Mariner's getting sharper. Boimler's getting sharper. Even Tendi has gotten sharper. So maybe we get one more Rutherford sharpening up his skills a little bit, and then boom, now we're ready. I don't know. But
Chupi says it's Ferengis next week.
Ferengis. We'll have to
watch
see.
them lobes. Watch them lobes.
Oh no, the Ferengis are going to get taken out by the ship. That's really sad. I'm still holding out a little bit to the idea that it's some sort of animal creature that's come to try to warn us about it going extinct, a la Star Trek 4. Just because we've had that whale ship in the intro. I'm like, there's got to be something here. Okay. A couple of points of housekeeping for our pod and our live stream next week. I'm going to be out of the country and in a very weird time zone, and Paul has a movie premiere. So we are going to take next week off. But we will be back on October 12th with a double header. So we'll be really excited. Make sure you're putting those messages in the menagerie if you are a part of our Patreon. And we cannot wait to talk about both of those episodes on the 12th.
Yeah. What about me just holding it down and do a solo monologue show for like 30 minutes?
You should just for 30 minutes just do slam poetry about Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, these are all great ideas, but at the end of the day, no one wants to hear that or watch that.
Everyone wants to hear that. Everyone.
If you want to hear Clyde Haynes do slam Star Trek poetry for 30 minutes next week on a live stream, make sure
Don't tempt me.
Please join our Patreon.
Do not tempt me. I'll be ready. 30 minutes of slam poetry.
Also, did anyone go see watch the Dancing Orion episode on Enterprise? Because I did, and still pretty hot, pretty smoking. That's right, still pretty smoking.
It is. You're not wrong. That's why I didn't go watch it.
I can just imagine, like Clyde watching. What are you watching, Clyde?
Nothing. It is definitely an episode where you might reflexively just somebody walks in the room and you change the channel. What are you watching? Star Trek? Sure you were. Star Trek it was, but it really was Star Trek.
Really was. You can check the TV guide back when we still had those. Okay, y'all. We will be back in 2 weeks on October 12th with our double header episode. Unless Clyde decides to pop on here next week and do some slam poetry for y'all. It will be a good time either way. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on Apple or Spotify. You can visit us at StarTrekPod.co to find links to that, as well as our Patreon, where you can join us for just $2 an episode. Leave us a message in the menagerie, hang out with the watch-alongs. There's also lots of good chit-chat about some non-Star Trek shows. If you want some people to talk about, we were talking about Reservation Dogs this week, which just had its finale. So if you want to come talk TV with some cool Star Trek people, you can do that there.
We occasionally talk SG1, so come on through.
Come on through. Clyde, where can people find us elsewhere on the internet?
At Star Trek Pod. Check out if that's at X or Threads or Insta. At Star Trek Pod. Thanks, Karen, who runs our
X, Twitter.
Something. Yes, the thing.
We will talk to you all soon. Thank you again so much. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.